Welcome to another episode of Stack Your Points. As always, I'm Matt Clausen, the internet's biggest credit card curmudgeon. I don't know. I've been described as grumpy. I just go with internet hermit. That's just me. Joined as always by RJ from 2 Minute Credit Card Talk. Correct?
2 minute points and miles. You were
Dang
close.
RJ, how are you today?
I'm good. After work, I did a Venture X video and I did a City Strata Elite video. Strata Elite is coming out on Thursday. So I'm very excited about that. I just did a TikTok where I just threw everything up. I have no delusions that will go well, but I figured I'm making the videos that are the right length, so I might as well throw them up there. So yeah. I was particularly proud of an analogy I made at the beginning of the Strata Elite video around sports. We'll see how that goes.
There we go. All right. Hey, if anyone can break through on TikTok, why not you? So I was just going through the notes for the episode. We're also joined by Lonnie from the Call Me Lonnie YouTube channel. Lonnie, how are you today?
I am exhausted on this holiday, Monday, that we're recording this. When there's no school, it's full-time husband, full-time father, and not a lot of time for myself. So yeah, I am pretty exhausted, but I'm here and I'm happy about it. And I also will not allow this episode to be a full built episode, Matt.
Look, we got time. We'll do something. You and I will do something for our channels and throw it up for the members on Stack Your Points. Like we could go a while on built, I'm sure.
I'm just saying, letting all the people know, this episode is not a full built episode. It could be, but it will not be.
Matt and I did a live on Thursday that was basically all built. So you can always go check that out for our more immediate reactions. That was Thursday, so about 24 hours after the built news dropped. We do have a topic and a half that we'll touch on built, but it's a relatively late built episode, all things considered.
I haven't even put my 2 cents out on built yet anywhere on this thing we call the internet. So I got some things to say.
I did post your Lonnie Predicts video to see if you were right. That went up. That has done, and you were the oracle of Stack Your Points.
I was not 100%, but I was definitely in the A- territory.
You were in the ballpark.
Yeah.
For sure. Yes, we're not going to dedicate the entire episode to build. Lonnie, you and I can discuss in another format, but that's fine. As we like to do, we're going to be doing viewer questions. Craig on assignment this evening, life be lifing for Craig. So our first question comes from Garrett. Garrett asks, you were just appointed tourism czar for the state, city, or country of your choosing. You are tasked with increasing tourism while maintaining tourist satisfaction. You have complete autonomy to make changes related to tourism, but you can't make changes to the core principles of the country. For example, we can't start serving alcohol in Riyadh. They are doing that now for foreigners, but okay, we'll play along. What location are you choosing and what changes are you making? This coming from Garrett. RJ, where are you picking?
So I thought about picking super local and I decided against that. I'm going to pick a place that could be bigger than it is and also a gateway to a particular area. I'm actually going to pick Providence, Rhode Island, because you have Boston right there. You have the Cape and the islands. It's a big summer area. A lot of people fly in there to go to like actual Providence town, which is different than Providence, Rhode Island, in different states even. So that area, first, TF Green is getting some lounges because I think there is like 1 or 2 right now. So we're going to put in all of the lounges. If you have a card that will get you into lounges, we're going to give you an option. That I think will help also distinguish it a little bit from Logan. And look, Providence is a weird place. They call things like Dell's Lemonade is a huge thing in Providence. I went to college out there for a little while, so I'm well acquainted. As far as what I would do for the area, like basketball is huge. Providence College, huge basketball place. I would just make it a little more attractive for people to come by like having a few more flights, having a slightly nicer airport, like reminding people that you don't need $40 billion to go check out the old like manor houses in the bottom of the state down by the water. Like you can go to some of the literally the most expensive places in the country at one point where billionaires were just throwing money at it, and you can get in for $20 and see these amazing historical houses. If you have any like desire for history, it's a beautiful state to go see. You can also drive from top to bottom of the state in like an hour and 15 minutes. Like it is, if it's over 15 minutes in Rhode Island, you have to pack a snack because the locals don't understand how you could possibly drive for more than 15 minutes at a time. Yeah, I would highlight some of those places you can actually go see the history of it, the breakers and all of that. There's the American Illustration Museum down there too that is amazing, that I don't think a lot of people know about, that I've been to, and it's truly one of the coolest museums I've gone through. So I would highlight some of those historical things that sort of get overshadowed by New York on one side and Boston on the other, and carve out more of that history of the area that is unique to itself and not just New England in capital letters.
All right, there you go. I don't know how high up on the. No, I would have figured Providence would have been somewhere on your list. If there was like a top 5 places, Providence would have been on there.
I thought about Nashville and stuff, but like Nashville is Nashville, right? I don't need to highlight the history of Nashville. It's literally, they do that already. So I wanted to pick something a little bit different.
No, that's fair. Lonnie.
Let's go to Monaco, and you don't get taxed on anything that you win.
All right.
It's all duty free. What stays there stays there. I don't know what. Yeah, that, you know what I'm trying to say.
So like Vegas, but international.
Yeah, Vegas, but without taxes. The other thing, RJ already took the U.S. and I would have took the U.S., but she made a way better point on what to change to get people to come back to the U.S.
There's 50 states, thousands, hundreds of cities. Monaco's interesting. All right.
I got my answer. I'm sticking to it.
That's fair. That is fair. Oh, Monaco, where you can at least get your Blade helicopter from Nice.
I'm okay.
Not taking that bait. Got it. All right. So appointed tourisms are for a state, city, or country of your choosing. You could always do the cop-outs of Vegas. You don't have to do anything if people are going to come no matter what. There's nothing you have to do to increase tourism to Vegas. They just added F1 in the last 5 years. What else could they do? Add MotoGP.
Who just left Vegas, y'all could make it a little bit cheaper. Y'all could bring the prices back down.
Lonnie, Vegas is the most capitalist city in the country. There's no way they're gonna. So like Vegas would be easy. Riyadh would be the same thing, but I think exact opposite end of the spectrum. Same with Ashgabat or Tashkent or somewhere like that. Let's see. Appointed tourisms are for the city, state, country of your choosing. Let's go. You know what? Let's go to England. Let's take England. England has thousands of years of history. There isn't. I know that a lot of the history in England gets centered on London. A lot of it. Now, that doesn't mean that all of it gets centered on London, but expanding out from London, I don't know the exact tourism in Wales for places like Carnarvon, where Edward I just set up the fortress of Carnarvon as a way of, hey, we've taken over Wales now. I don't know how much the history gets leaned into there for tourism, but highlighting the history there, highlighting the history at Hadrian's Wall, highlighting the history, there's a wall beyond Hadrian's Wall, highlighting the history of that, highlighting the history in York, where the Vikings came and pillaged to start. There's the whole idea of the Danelaw. Not idea. There was a whole era of the Danelaw. More highlighting of English history throughout the remainder of the island. Tons of places to work with. You've got thousands of years of history throughout the island, throughout the islands, if you include things like the Isle of Man and how that came to be undertaken by the British. Well, what they did with Ireland, which isn't super great. The Orkney Islands, or going out toward the Faroes. And if I remember correctly, there was some sort of like territorial dispute between England and Denmark about the Faroe Islands at one point, highlighting those things. And if you do the flights in the Orkneys, you get to do that silly Logan Air flight that is like 6 minutes long. That's hilarious. That is an official, like, this is a 30-second flight. And you can earn miles on it and Avios. What your Avios earning on it is, I don't know. But no, I think England going beyond, expanding upon beyond London history. And I know that the English do this. I know that there's a ton of it, but like more is more in this regard because thousands of years of history there. It may feel like a cop out, but I wasn't going to take Tashkent or Ashgabat. Roast me in the comments all you want. All right. Thanks, Garrett. Let's move over to our next question coming from Shatan Chatton, who asks, when booking upper tier hotels, given how low the value of hotel point currencies are, is it better to pair 2 credit cards that provide better synergy for hotel stays? Thinking about the Amex Platinum paired with either the Hilton Aspire or the Bonvoy Brilliant, and then booking exclusively through the FHR program. My first question before I throw to you guys with this is going to be, are you looking to do 1 night, 2 nights? Like, how many nights are you booking through? Are you just applying FHR to 1 night and then looking to see if you could pair a free night award associated with the stay? I don't fully know, but I think this can play into it. Lonnie is the holder of all 3 of the cards mentioned in this question. How are you approaching it?
Almost exactly how we said. Now, the first thing is, I won't say there is a low value of hotel point currencies, but I will change that to they're not as high as they used to be, which is 2 separate things, and both answers are true. We had talked about this last week. The game has changed. Like, just because you were in there longer and you've seen more changes doesn't mean things got worse, because it's land of milk and honey for someone that might get started today or might get started tomorrow. The other, to answer the actual part of the question, there's a lot of different ways. And I've talked about perk stacking or benefit stacking before. And yeah, you can get some incredible, great deals. If you're a member of my channel, I talked about this, how I've had, I think, like almost the last 3 or 4 hotel bookings. I've literally booked the cheapest, lowest room I could. The studio suite on the low level where the view faces the back alley or the parking lot. And because I booked that room through FHR, I'm going to say a Hilton room, so FHR, and then use my Hilton Diamond status. So FHR with my Platinum says I'm guaranteed an upgrade. Diamond status says you're also guaranteed an upgrade. So by stacking both of those things together, combining them like he was saying in this question, yeah, I've ended up in some pretty awesome rooms recently. Like I said, you got to be a member of my channel. I've walked through some of it. I've talked about some of it. I did it with Marriott. I've done it with Hilton. I just did it in Mexico. We will see what happens in Tokyo in a couple of weeks, because I did it there too. Staying at Conrad Tokyo, as I mentioned last week. So we'll see what happened there. But yeah, I booked this studio room. We'll see where I end up. It works. And the beauty of it is that it doesn't matter if you use your hotel points, because you can use your Amex points if you're booking through FHR. Of course, I can't use my Hilton points or my Marriott points through FHR, but I can earn points, but separate story for a separate day. But especially through Hilton, if you have the Aspire card, you can just book directly through Hilton and use those points and still get that particular stack, and that allows you to use like extra benefits that come from that card. Speaking of that, don't forget you can actually stack those extra benefits as well. Meaning, well, before I get to that, like with my Hilton Aspire, just book with points minus $200 as long as it's an eligible hotel, and now you get your 200 and the $100 experience credit, etc. But if you're going to book through FHR, you can't really take off those points because you're prepaying. But now you're going to get a $100 credit, and as long as you charge everything to the room, that $200 credit that comes off the Aspire, as long as it goes through your folio when you check out, you actually have $300 in credits as long as it's an eligible Hilton resort, that is. So there's multiple ways that you can stack those types of perks and benefits. What you asked in the question is just one of them, and the answer is yes. That's exactly how I would do it, but that's not the only way that I would do it. There's, as I had just mentioned, there's at least 2, 3, 4 other different ways you can do it, and that's just with Hilton. Like I said, you can do the same thing with Marriott. I'm sure you might be able to do, you can actually do the same thing with IHG, because you'll find IHGs and FHR as well. I don't have Hyatt. I don't really stay at Hyatt, so I won't say that you can do it there, but I'm assuming that you could probably figure something out.
Yep. RJ.
So you can absolutely do it, as Lonnie pointed out. I would just make sure you're also checking the prices for comparable rooms, booking directly, booking on points, and then booking through any sort of portal. Because sometimes, even if you're getting those perks, you're getting the upgrades or you're getting the credits, sometimes they can just be wildly different, right? We've all seen people go on Reddit and post $3,000 in difference between what you're doing. So I would not just automatically book that way every time without double checking things. Because if you're sitting on 500,000 Hilton points, for some reason that hotel is doing something where it's 70,000 a night for the same room that you would be paying $600 a night for, you may or may not want to do that, right? So there's other ways to possibly do it. As Lonnie has alluded, there are more ways to skin this particular cat than not, but just don't always default to one way. Definitely check your prices, check things like that, just to keep everything honest. But that is an absolute possibility of a way to do it and be happy. But I would also, like Lonnie, push back against points value being low. They are what they are. Like, they're not cash, so they're always going to have a flexible value.
Yep. I do think you can, if you can synergize, and that's going to be a better value overall, or potentially savings. If you're using like the FHR credit for the first half of the year, you're going to get $300 off that first night. If you're doing multiple nights, if everything lines up, I can't say, I'm not going to say for certain that you could apply a free night certificate to an FHR credit, to an FHR stay. I don't think you can, but given that FHR is as little as one night, you could line up, do a one night stay on FHR, do a follow-up night, and then join them after the fact. You're not going to get everything fully put together. Or you can do, if you're looking to do a 2 or 3 night, a 3-night stay, the first night is FHR, the second night is your free night certificate. Then you can do your third night as a mix of points and cash, just to bring the overall amount down to something more reasonable for you. You're getting incredible value that way, because you're going to save $300 with the FHR credit for that first night. You're going to get that second night for the standard room cost, whatever the standard room cost is, through your free night certificate. This is assuming a Hilton, by the way. And then that third night, mix of points and cash, you're going to utilize whatever points you're going to utilize. And assuming you have the Aspire card, you're going to get 34 times points per dollar on that particular booking. So that can be a pretty solid value. Like, you are potentially spending a little bit of cash on that third night, or you don't even need to do that third night. If you're just doing a 2-night stay, the first night is FHR and the second night is covered by a free night award with Hilton. That can be huge. You can do the same thing with Marriott. First night is FHR, second night is an 85K cert. You may have to top it up to 100,000, but you can make that work and combine the bookings. You'll only get the FHR stuff for that first night, and then the second night is going to be a regular Marriott stay. Can your status play into things? Sure. Is it always guaranteed that your status is going to play into things? Nope. But as long as everything is lined up where you've got your loyalty number put in there and everything is confirmed in your hotel of choice, you should be able to get everything recognized, or get the points earning, get the potential upgrade if one is available to you. Because I'm not going to say that upgrades are guaranteed or anything like that. Depending on where you're going, you're more likely to get something out of the US than you are in the US. But even then, depends on where you're traveling to, what time of year you're traveling. Are you traveling in the off season in Italy? More likely to get that upgrade. Are you traveling at the height of tourist season in Japan during the cherry blossoms? You're probably not going to get that upgrade. Although who knows?
Just imagine somebody doing this and going to 4 different rooms because they booked 4 different ways and the hotel wasn't able to put them in one room. And it just them getting to see the entire hotel.
Look, sometimes in this game, you step on a pressure sensitive mine. That's all I'm going to say. Sometimes in this game,
unpacking my bag once, I'm repacking it back up again once. I don't like hopping from hotel to hotel, even when they're next to each other. When it's, oh, we're getting in super late, don't want to pay for a whole day when we check in at 9 p.m. Like, even then, I don't. That might be the only time I would ever hop from hotel to hotel, like an arrival day, and I arrive super late, and I'm using like a free night cert to cover that 9 p.m. to 11 a.m. room tomorrow. But other than that, no, I'm not taking my suitcase, walking it downstairs, tipping the bellhop, and then literally walking around the corner. If I won't do it for terminals, I'm definitely not doing it in the cities that I'm in. But all that aside, Matt, don't forget, it's 5th night free, 4th night free if you have IHG. You can also do, I'm not going to get into all the details, but you can also do a lot of that same type of perk stacking using 5th night and 5th night free with Marriott in Hilton, 4th night free with IHGs. You can actually come out ahead and stay an extra day of travel sometimes.
Yep. I understand the idea that Hilton and Marriott both have relatively low reasonable redemption values. I'm using our RV instead of Semper Point just because Gondola's information seems to be a little bit more up to date than the Points Guy values that everybody defaults to. But just because those numbers are like low or can be low doesn't mean that there isn't value that can be had. And yes, that's an argument for cherry picking, but there's also several ways you can artificially inflate that with things like 5th night free, or adding a free night cert to your stay, or doing FHR to significantly knock down the first night and then doing a free night for the second night, and then doing whatever else depending on how long you're going to be staying there. The value can vary. Adding your perks on top of everything probably just will also change the value. It will change the value proposition for you at the end of the day, because you'll get more stuff with the FHR programs or Virtuoso booking or something like that, as opposed to just booking straight up with points. Because that stay at the Conrad on Waikiki, I'm sure I've got the wrong Conrad, but whatever, just play along with me here, would cost you several hundreds of thousands of points, or pay $300, get $300 back from the FHR program, and then a free night certificate for 2 nights. That's way less money out of your pocket. And you don't have to worry about having 500,000 points per night or whatever it would be. Yes, there are exaggerations in that answer. No, I will not apologize for them. Shatton, I don't think it's better or worse to pair, but if you want those extra perks, if you want to stack your perks, go for it. use the extra cards if you have them. Part of why you have them is for that perk stacking where you get your diamond status recognized, you get everything with diamond on the stay. And if you're doing FHR, you get that $100 property credit, you get the upgrade when available, you get that guaranteed late 4 p.m. checkout, you get all these other things included. You can definitely perk stack. And that if you add everything up at the end of the day, that might be as valuable or more valuable than just booking the entire stay on points and hoping that you're everything with your diamond status with Hilton or your platinum or titanium status with Marriott gets reflected at that location. So thanks, Shatton. Our next question comes from Bill W, who asks, have you ever been on a flight in those upgraded seats or lay down first class and another passenger is sawing logs loudly? I'm assuming snoring by way of potentially having, I don't know, something like sleep apnea. RJ, ever come across this particular phenomena?
So not upgraded because I just buy first class, but yes. It is also why. So these are Apple AirPods Max. They are a pain in the ass to travel with because they don't fold at all, but they are the best noise canceling headphones. I have tried Bose, I've tried Sony, I've tried all of that. Look, they are good. For my ears, these have the best noise canceling. So I travel with these. I am that obnoxious person that is walking through the airport with their headphones around their neck, and it is these. That is what I do. I love them, and I will not travel without them. Sometimes I have put AirPods, just the regular AirPods, in my ears and then put these over it and turned on the noise cancellation. And then I am basically in a sound chamber where nothing can reach me. So yeah, I would never travel without noise canceling headphones because people snore and babies cry and people are loud. I was on a phone where somebody was watching a movie on their laptop, or I'm sorry, I was on a flight where somebody was watching a movie on their laptop with no headphones. Like they had them. I saw them like have them in their bag when they opened their bag. We're not using them. Somebody offered them a pair of headphones for the headphone jack and they said, no, thank you. I prefer it this way. So I will never travel without headphones. And that is just a fact.
RJ would also pay Apple $1 million if they actually gave her a proper carrying case for the Apple AirPods Max.
I don't know if I would pay $1 million. I would pay, I'm going to pay whatever the AirPods 2 price is. Like when they come out with the second gen, I will be buying them. I bought the ones that upgraded to USB-C just so I didn't have to have another lightning cord in my life. So I will buy them. I don't know when. They seemingly have forgotten that they make them. The Bose ones aren't bad. I'm not a huge fan of their over-ear Bose. Or not Bose, Beats, because they use the same chips in them that the AirPods do. I'm not a huge fan of just how they fit for the Beats, or I would have just gone that direction. So yeah, no, but they have seemingly forgot they make them. But I travel with them. I am that person.
It's fair. Lonnie.
Yeah, I've definitely dealt with that. As RJ mentioned, with a right pair of good headphones, I am more of a Sony person. I had the 5, still do, just don't use them because I bought the 6s earlier. It's 2026. Whatever, early 2025, mid 2025, whenever the new versions came out. That fold, RJ. That fold, and I can turn them off, RJ.
I have like Bose I have QC Ultras I have somewhere, but I don't use them because I have these.
Yeah, so I started with the 4s, I bought the 5s, I have the 6s. My wife actually has AirPod Maxes, the one that RJ has right now, so I have definitely experienced them. They're both fine. Like, I'm not going to have a battle saying one is better than the other. It's like comfort versus convenience. Get the one that's more comfortable. They're both going to cancel out any noise, including people snoring. You can still smell the stinky farts from the people on the aisle across you, by the way. So they're not going to do anything there. But I want something that's going to fit in my backpack. Sorry, AirPod Max is just ain't it. That type of thing. Yeah, happens all the time. And even the screaming babies. Like I've openly admitted, I am a father of a toddler at the moment. There's times where I've had my AirPod Pros, the new ones, the Series 3s, in my ear, and I can't even hear him talk to me sitting next to me. So I'm not discrediting Apple. They're great. I usually, if I'm with my family, I do something light like my AirPod Pro so I can hear my son versus the over ears. But when I'm traveling solo, definitely the over ears. They are by far the best.
It's fair. I don't turn left on the plane when I board the plane. Use my money in other ways, apparently. Still working my way to turning left. But on the plane, depending on where I'm sitting, depending on what my travel configuration is, if I'm flying by myself, I'll just pop in my headphones, whatever my headphones of choice are. Right now, it's my AirPods Pros. I could go with these. If I'm worried about battery life on anything, I'll just make sure that I have a proper set of wired headphones. What sucks there is I'd have to choose between whether or not I want to do 3.5 millimeter or have something USB-C related. And no, I'm not getting a USB-C to 3.5 millimeter connection. That is stupid. I refuse. So I'd have to pick what my audio of choice is going to be on that one. All things considered, if you're able to lie flat, like it also depends on how long your flight's going to be, right? If you're lay flat and you're doing an overnight flight and you're doing like a 10-hour flight, you yourself will probably also be sawing logs loudly for the people behind you in business class to have to suffer through. It's entirely possible that you yourself will just pop on some headphones of whether it's from the amenity kit or your personal headphones or whatever, and you may conk out yourself, depending on the flight. Domestic flights or something where I'm not sitting amongst the privileged, I'm good with my active noise cancellation on the AirPods Pro. I know it's not the same as the Max. I don't care. It's good enough for me. I'm not listening to a ton of lossless audio. I'm listening to more lossless audio now, but like lossless is not a huge thing for me. So until it is, I don't see the need to get more professional headphones. These work just fine. And I couldn't tell you the difference between lossless and a high kilobit anyway. I do not have ears that good.
Look, you just put on Harry Potter number 3 or number 4 and fall asleep. That's it. That's what I do.
For me, it's another run of Flash Crash or The Big Short or Liar's Poker.
Harry Potter puts me to sleep every single time. Perfect for airplanes.
Fair. Maybe Moneyball. I don't know why I listen to so much Michael Lewis on the plane.
I just need a movie that I've seen before so I won't feel like I'm missing something. So, good old HP. Works every time.
There we go. RJ, do you have go-to media on a flight?
I make a playlist, a music playlist before I take a trip, just to do that. I tend not to watch movies a ton on planes, but I make a music playlist and then I'll download podcasts. So depending on the flight, like I can't get through an episode of ATP by the time I get to LaGuardia. So
No.
I'll do music down there. And then if I have a longer flight, I'll do ATP or Connected or something. So yeah, I'm a music podcast person versus like visual media.
A Syracuse soliloquy alone is the flight from where you fly out of to LaGuardia.
Yes. If he did a rant on the Mac Pro, like that could be the entire flight. Just that.
On the Mac Pro is like 4 words too many when he does a rant.
Yes.
Love Syracuse, but yeah. Anywho, so yeah, I've sat in the extended legroom seats. I've gotten into upgraded seats, but yeah, when the other passenger is sawing logs, you'll figure it out, or saw logs back and disturb the rest of the plane. Also an option. So thanks, Bill. Our next question comes from Kirby G, who says, what card or refresh are you most looking forward to in 2026 that you are at least 50% confident will come out or refresh will happen? Lonnie, you're at the end game, but is there any card or refresh that could happen this year that would make you tempted to jump out of card acquisition retirement?
I think most of the cards that I have all got refreshed last year, especially the ones that I use the most. So basically the Amex ones, all the United cards got refreshed. My CSR got refreshed. And that's just 2025.
Yeah.
2026, refresh ain't starting off too hot, but I ain't getting into that at the moment. So
Okay.
no, not really. If one of my 3 hotel cards, Marriott, Hilton, or IHG, wanted to change up, I would definitely 100% pay attention, because that might heavily affect the way that I use those cards. But other than that, no, I'm not really. There's nothing really that could happen out there that would really entice me, unless it's a card that I already have in my wallet. And I think, as I mentioned, the only ones that could really turn my head right now are my hotel cards, because basically every other card that's not a $0 annual fee card has already been refreshed.
That's fair. Would you be looking out for a CSP refresh or anything like that?
I would actually pay attention to it. I would like to see what they're going to do based on what happened with the CSR, that is. And then, of course, now Bill lost their leverage against the CSP, because you pay $95 what they just gave you for free. Oh, did I say that out loud? Yeah, I would pay attention, because I would like to see if the CSP can close that particular gap of the transit part that the CSR left. If they close that with the CSP, and now I can have both, that would actually be beneficial to me and help keep the points flowing into my UR points, my Chase UR points. So yeah, I would pay attention to CSP.
No, that's fair. RJ, or any comments that we have along the way from our stream?
Yeah, actually, Keith is thanking Lonnie for only having so much Bill talk this episode. So we are doing moderation this episode. Everything in moderation. But we'll get there.
I'm not seeing any comments. Did someone comment?
Yeah. So StreamYard, we had this problem during the live. StreamYard is not showing everything where it should be. I have the studio version up, which shows them from YouTube, which is why I wanted to shout Keith out so he knows that we saw his comments.
What's up, Keith?
Thank you, Keith. Thank you for being a member. Thank you for being a Diamond member. If you would like to watch these streams as we do them to set up the recording on Monday nights starting at 11 p.m. Eastern, stackingpoints.com, membership, Diamond level, exclusive Diamond level perk. There you go. RJ, any card refresh, anything that you're looking forward to in 2026 that you are at least 50% confident will come out or will happen?
I think the green and the CSP are the most interesting that I'm mostly sure. If the Venture got upgraded or updated, I should say, it would be interesting. It'll get to Lonnie's topic later, but I really think those sort of mid-tier, not the Platinum, not the CSR, not the Strata Elite, not the Venture X cards, are the most interesting right now, because you can do things that are a little bit different with those cards, and you're not taking your flagship out of play. So I think the green I don't know if the multipliers are going to radically change. I could see them like adding EV charging or something like that to travel in transit. Maybe add gas if they're going to get wild, maybe not. But I could see something like that on the green. The CSP, I think the multipliers are going to change there. I really think they're going to do 3x travel on the CSP because they lifted the 1 Sapphire rule. So the only reason you lift the 1 Sapphire rule is because you want people to hold both Sapphires. So I think the annual fee is going to go up, and I think they're going to give you 3x travel. I don't think they're going to give you much else other than 3x travel, but I think they're going to give you 3x travel. That way people will hold both cards. They will get both annual fees, and then people will have the hotels and flights directly on the CSR. They'll have everything else covered by the CSP. I do think they'll have a Sapphire card that will be a no annual fee or a much lower annual fee that will cover a few things. But those two are really interesting to me. If the Saver X comes out, which Capital One has floated a little bit, that again could be interesting, but I'm not 50% sure that's going to come out in 2026.
No, that's fair. The CSP is a huge wild card because if they only go to 150, like, just give me an Instacart Plus membership for sure. Pay for my Instacart Plus so that I can pair Instacart Plus and DoorDash and get virtually unlimited 3x everything. How? Just think about it. And Lyft, go to 3x Travel. 3x Grocery on that card doesn't make a ton of sense, but also 3x Grocery, 3x Dining, no foreign transaction fee. It could be an interesting play if you do
They could
travel,
do
dining, grocery.
the Sapphire, like if they do the $95, like a $95, a mid-tier, and then the reserve, that
Yeah.
one could get the grocery. And
For
then
sure.
you hold all 3 cards.
Yeah, it's not out of the realm of possibility that there would be a Sapphire trifecta by the end of 2026. How likely is that? That I think is below 50%. I do think I'm above 50% that a CSP refresh is coming. What that ends up looking, man, I don't know. Green card refresh, honestly, the slam dunk there is just going to be add gas and EV, slap on a Resi credit, wipe your hands, call it done. You got the Resi credit, you got the Clear Plus credit. What else are they going to do? Add a pass to the Centurion Lounge? I don't think they're going to do that. So
Give me Dunkin'. I will take Dunkin' Donuts.
yeah, they'll give you like a $4 per month credit. No.
I'll
Oh,
take it.
sure.
That's a coffee, Matt. Are you going to deny me a coffee a month?
You should be getting your coffee at Stewart's.
But Stewart's doesn't have drive-thrus.
There's that. You do have to interact with people. Other cards that are poking around that might appear in 2026, I feel pretty confident there's going to be a new World of Hyatt card. Frequent Miler in their prediction episode, Nick said that he thinks that there would be a no annual fee option. I don't know about that. I think that if there's going to be another, and Hyatt seemed to indicate that there would be like a higher tier card coming, and they've been testing a higher tier card. I do think a higher tier card is coming. What that looks like, I don't know, but I'm confident that there will be a higher tier card. I think that higher tier card is going to launch, and they're also going to bolt on more things to the Sapphire Reserve as well. That's going to get ugly, but I do think that a higher tier World of Hyatt card is definitely coming. Something I'm less confident on, but push came to shove, I could probably get to 50%. I think there's a premium IHG card being developed. What that looks like, I don't know, but I could see them getting into that $395 to $595 space, giving you a higher tier free night award. And I don't think it would give you diamond status, but I don't think it would give you a faster path to diamond status.
So the choice cards gave you like 20 of the 40 nights you needed to hit the next status, to hit the highest status. I
Yeah.
could see them doing that, where they give you like 50% of what you're going to need.
Yeah. And you could keep it with platinum status. You'd get all the knights halfway to diamond and other lucrative things along the way. I could certainly see that. Am I at 50% about about an IHG card? No, I'm above 50% on some sort of World of Hyatt card, be it no annual fee or more likely a higher annual fee card, a premium card, or maybe it's like that mid-tier premium level. We'll get into that later. Other cards, I wish I was confident that there was a premium Wells Fargo card coming. Not, so I'm not going to go there. I don't know that we're going to get any more Wells Fargo co-brands.
Keith pointed out the Flying Blue card got refreshed, and it can be
It did.
very good. So that has already happened, so we can't predict that, but
Yeah.
I did want to shout that out.
Yeah, that card is getting a 3x dining multiplier in addition to some spiffy status benefits. Spend $15,000 on the card, you get an additional 80 XP towards status, and if you put $25,000 to the card, you get an additional 60 XP, I think. So all told, every year you could pick up 160 XP for status, and the new welcome offer is going to be 70,000 points and 100 XP, essentially giving you silver status just for doing the welcome offer. And then you can tack on the next 80 XP with 15,000 in spend, and do the other 140 XP and get yourself pretty close to Flying Blue platinum status. And that would translate to, I feel like that would translate over to like Delta platinum at least, I think. Or it would get you Sky Team, one of the relatively decent Sky Team Alliance statuses, and that could get matched over to Delta pretty easily. But interesting welcome offer on the new Flying Blue card. But that is not a rumored refresh or anything like that. But yeah, a premium IHG card, I'll throw that out there as a possibility. I'm like 40% there. World of Hyatt card and the green and sapphire preferred refreshes. I'm not there on Saver X. I don't think Capital One should waste their time on that. You have the Saver. There's no reason to throw a $295 annual fee on the Saver card and not give anything interesting on it, because the credits that were rumored on it were sucky.
Again, I don't necessarily think it will be a good card. I am interested to see what they would do. Those are different things.
That is fair. All right. Thanks, Kirby, for that question. Our last question for this week comes from RP2048. And they ask, how do you decide what hacks to share and what to keep hidden? We want to share the knowledge, but don't want the hacks to stop. I'll jump in first on this one. First and foremost, if you are a creator in this space, the easiest thing to do is paywall that sucker. I've got an interesting hack. I've got something that's been working for me and has been building up points, or has been building up interesting ways for me to utilize credits that I have on my card. And now I can draw even more value from this credit by just letting someone else use my Sapphire Reserve on their DoorDash app. I've got an interesting way to build out those credits. I keep it behind a paywall. Like, my hack on the Sapphire Reserve is paywalled for members. I think a lot of creators are starting to paywall some of those hacks that they've come across that are working for them, because there's only so many ink cards you can get now. And there was only so many opportunities to use the Curve card before Curve shut down in the US. There are only so many ways to do these other things. Flues is no longer an app that exists. Cashish is also an app that no longer exists, or basically no longer exists. And Pepper has been like just destroyed. So like, creators are now starting to paywall it here on YouTube. I think you're going to see some more of those sorts of things. Forums, things will get hidden in forums. The forums themselves aren't paywalled, but you got to go through some forums to really find some of those interesting hacks and stuff like that. Do you really want to spend your time doing that? That is a labor for you. So yeah, I think that paywalling is pretty much going to be the easiest thing to decide what to keep hidden. If something is really too good to be true, like that is the one that you'll slap behind the paywall and just go from there. Lonnie, when it comes to hacks and sharing and what to keep hidden, what's your approach?
Oh, this one's easy and a hard one at the exact same time. I think, Matt, you pretty much summed it up pretty well. The first thing is what to share. As a creator, there has to be some level of you have to share, or what are you talking about? Hey, I
Right.
got this channel on how you can use points and maximize points and miles and pay for a little bit of something, get a whole bunch of something else, but I'm not going to tell you how to do it. So you got to share something, or at least to some level. For me, it is the blind obvious type of hacks, the ones that people that are like readily available and yet people aren't familiar with them, or the ones that could just be like, oh, I didn't know I could do that type of hacks. I will happily share those, and they're not behind a paywall. They're in a lot of my videos. How many times have you seen, if you watch my videos, seen travel hack alert? I do it all the time, and that's the reason why. A couple of those, as an example, would be like the gift card hack. Just go use a grocery card that gets anything back on grocery and buy a gift card at the end cap. You want to get 4x on wherever you want to shop, take your MX Gold to a grocery store. That's an easy one to share. A lot of people just don't realize you can do the same thing with a CSR, or not a CSR, a Freedom Flex and a Freedom Unlimited at a CVS or a Walgreens. Those are super duper easy. What to keep hidden? The ones that are a little bit more niche that require multiple steps, I want to keep those hidden. So I'm not going to be like, for example, going back to Shatan's question about stacking perks. That is very, very niche. If you don't have a Platinum and a Hilton Aspire, for example, you can't do that. Now I can talk about it, but it's not readily available because not everybody has those cards. So I'm not going to talk about it as much. I still share it 100%. But at the same time, if it's not beneficial, it's like, these are great, but they don't pertain to me from audience perspective. It's pointless to share. And I usually talk about those things by talking about them from my perspective. Hey, as I had mentioned in that answer, here's a stay that I just did in Mexico. Here's a stay that I just did in DC or in Vegas or whatever. And here's what I got out of it. You can do it too. Here's how I did it. You could do it too. But you gotta check these boxes off to even get into the game to do it. So I usually don't share that type of stuff. Now, the stuff is 100% behind a paywall. It's the stuff that could not be considered legit. The stuff that choose your own adventure. If you get caught and you say my name, we have a problem. Like those types of hacks, those are behind a paywall. And if you're a member of my channel, you've heard me talk about a couple of them, right? Man, how did I get my Hilton Aspire? How did I beat pop-up jail?
I'm not going to talk about it.
I'm not
here to talk about it.
You can become a member of my channel, go watch the video. I put it out there and it's going to stay behind that paywall. And outside of that, anything else that is not 100% where you would actually have to look in the mirror and start judging your morals, even behind a paywall, I wouldn't do some of those. There have been times where I'm not going to call it fraud, but I'm going to say there's times where I've gotten lucky. I'm not going to talk about that because that was a one-off which can't be duplicated. So I'm not going to talk about that. I might not talk about things that could get someone in trouble. Hey, you can go do this, but if Amex catches you or Chase catches you, they're going to close your account and take all your points. I'm not going to talk about that either because I'm not going to put you out there like that. So it just depends on the level of it all. And I'll say it like this from an audience purview, it's pay to play. The more the audience leans into it, the more I will talk about it. Period. It's like voting with your wallet, but vote with views and comments and like buttons. When I put that stuff out there and people respond to it, you show me a comment, hey, I tried that and it worked. Thank you. Then yeah, when I see a lot of people that get that type of value, I'll do more of that type of stuff. But When I don't, it's oh, no one must care. So then I lean off on it, but I'm always happy to share a hack. I got a hack for almost every single card that I got. That's why I got all the cards that I got. Those types. So it's a moving target, but that's how I feel.
No, that makes sense. Definitely makes sense. RJ, how do you decide what hacks to share and what to keep hidden?
So Keith put a comment in morals ? The banks are not our friends. I hate that expression with the burning passion of 1,000 suns. The banks are not our friends is a terrible expression because it excuses all sorts of terrible behavior. And this is not a direction at Keith. I see that phrase all the time and it drives me nuts, right? Like, not telling people things that might actually do them harm. And by harm, I mean like your 75,000 points in Chase just going is not a banks are not our friend, you should do crime situation, right? Trying not to put people in positions that will harm them should be a thing we do as people more. Like, if Lonnie knows how to do a thing, and I'm using Lonnie because he's here, but if Lonnie knows how to do a thing, and it has maybe a 30% chance of working and a 70% chance of not working, he should probably not put that out for the masses, right? Because it's probably gonna hurt you. And even if you never mention Lonnie, like that's not a good thing for him to do just as like a content creator and also as a person, right? So not teaching people to willfully break terms of service, not telling people to actually commit fraud. Like, as somebody in an industry where fraud is a big deal, the amount of times people commit credit card fraud, commit insurance fraud, commit things that are actually like, could you go to jail for some of the things that I have seen in forums and in chats? Yes, you could. The chances of you actually going to jail are very small, but like you are still doing things that are crimes. The banks are not our friends are not a excuse to commit white collar crime. I hate to tell you this. And again, I am not directing this to Keith. I really am not. This is a thing I see in a lot of places. You see it. I see 7 fraud commits on Reddit every day, at least, right? So the problem is that people don't know that what they're doing is wrong because they see it in a forum and assume that if it's in a forum, it's not a problem or it's fine, right? So people are not necessarily as well versed in some of these things. So for me, like if it is something that is quote legit, I don't mind talking about it, right? Stacking certain things or like how I approach things, but I am also somebody who I care far more about perks than I do about hacks for points, right? Or different things of like how to acquire cards that I quote should not. So that's not what I'm here for. I am here much more for the commentating on certain things and different parts like that. But I do think as a community, like we take an adversarial stance towards the banks, and that empowers us to commit crime. And I don't use that as like a funny haha. Like people are out there committing crimes, calling in as other people, like, and then questioning why the rep is asking who they are. Like people are doing very bad things and seemingly talking about it as if it's banks aren't our friends, so why would I not do this? And that is a problem. Like these behaviors, like there is a difference between a thing that is in a gray area of terms of service and a thing that is just a crime or willfully against the terms of service. And we as a community flirt with that line far too much. And I think that's when we get to the point where you can find a lot of hacks online, but most creators who are worth their salt, I think, understand that putting people in harm's way is bad, like for business and just like being a human being. So I'm never going to suggest a thing that I know is going to potentially put you in harm's way. That's just where my line is, regardless of anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to go with that, one extra thing that I would add is stuff that I don't share is stuff that I don't actually do. So as RJ was mentioning, there are a lot of different easy to illegal hacks available out there on the internet somewhere. If I don't do it, I don't talk about it. So everything that I will have done and will continue to put out on my channel are first person experiences that I personally walked through. And like I said, if it's something that's a little bit harder that I know, like she was saying, the 70-30 split, where that it's probably only going to work 30% of the time. Yeah, I'm going to let you know it's not going to work all the time, or it used to work. Like I got old videos, CSR videos where I talk about hacks that are completely irrelevant now because the CSR has changed. The other thing would be stuff that's not necessarily mine, or I'm not the originator that put it out there. A great example is upgrade downgrade with Amex. Sledge is the originator that put that one out there, the king of doing it, of course. Joe Barretto's heavily into it as well. Not that I don't necessarily do it. I don't, and now I won't, because I like my mirror finish platinum and my white gold Amex. And if I did it, I can't get those cards back. I know it sounds very cheesy, but it ain't, for me, it ain't worth 40,000 Amex points to get rid of a card, those particular cards. But the point is, that is their hack they put out there. And if you ever hear me talk about it, you also hear me give credit to said creator, just like I just did. So I won't also not share hacks that I'm not the originator of. No hack belongs to one single person. That's why I'm using the word originator, the first person that put that one out there.
Yeah. Keith also mentioned that I have a larger problem with creators encouraging cards being opened and spending. Some viewers deal with spending and buying addictions, and some have debt issues. Yeah, that's definitely a thing that can happen. I'm torn on that one just because the creator has no control over the viewer's habits and what the viewer may or may not do in opening a credit card. The best we can do, advise again, that we don't give financial advice. We can only highlight that this is a card that has this unique opportunity, or this is a card that has this current opportunity, this thing being done. And I think the biggest thing here would be reselling or buying groups or other methods of manufactured spend that, one, aren't great necessarily, and two, depending on how far of foul you run with it, you could be breaking terms and conditions. But like, the creator can highlight what is like a great offer, and if the viewer grabs the card and starts looking for ways to quickly hit that welcome offer through not so nefarious means, through potentially nefarious means. Sorry, I didn't quite have the train on the track there. But if the viewer goes out of their way to get the card, they've gotten the card, and now they're asking for advice for how to use the card, we'll say nefariously, and they get advice. If they follow that advice and they don't follow through on it, and they don't get their welcome offer, or they do something stupid and they get shut down, that's on them.
I think and I've seen this more, and I think this is one of the things Keith is talking about, creators that will highlight 0% APR,
Yeah.
and then tell people just put the entire welcome offer in the first month, hit the welcome offer, and then just worry about paying it later. That happens a lot. That happens, again, not every creator who does that is on the up and up, but that specific one happens a lot. Mm-hmm. Where they will mention the 0%. They'll say, just hit the offer, and then you've got 11 months to pay it off. Just pay it off in the 11th month or whatever. And that, to me, especially for people who don't know better, is terrible advice, and also gets people into very bad habits. It's one thing if you do that once, or if you're good at credit cards, quote, good at credit cards, and you happen to float it for 7 or 8 months, it is a very bad thing for somebody who doesn't know credit cards and you're talking to a general audience and you're giving that advice, in my opinion. So I think, judging from some of the Discord conversations, I think that is one of the things Keith is sitting on.
Yeah. I think there's a level of double accountability when it comes to those types of things. First is you listen, and the second is you follow through. You are an adult, let's call it what it is, that is responsible for making your own actions and decisions, where if you want to do that, sure, like you can throw a brick through a window at a police station. I don't recommend it, but you can go do it. So you listen to me. Now, if you decided to go do it, you're accountable for that. You can't blame me for doing that. If I said throw a brick at a police car, the next police car that you see, and you will get 50,000 MR points. That's on you if you decide to do that. And which is also a reason why I say everything that we say as creators, take with a grain of salt, including what I say. Once again, I'm not trying to promote my members only videos, but I say this in my members only videos all the time. Don't even listen to me without doing your own research. Take even what I say with a grain of salt, because it can affect you differently. And a lot of creators, a lot of people, especially in the social media world, get paid for the stuff that they say. Not everything is legit. I've said I haven't taken sponsors. I've been on YouTube for over 2 years now, and I have rejected more sponsors than I've taken. I actually haven't taken any sponsors. To be taken affiliate links, but that's slightly different. And I don't even really promote those. But actually, I don't promote those unless someone asks. But anyway, and that's because I want my information to have integrity. I want people to be like, you know what? Lonnie has not been bought. Where it's easy to see a creator, no matter how many, whatever, all of a sudden say, hey, this car is the best, you should go get it. Or this is where you should stay, or this is the action you should do at said hotel. Look at what I got, look at what I did, or look at, how I'm living. And it could be sponsored or paid on the back end. They say, social media is just highlight reels. You're not actually seeing the true reality of how X person got their day-to-day life. Cool. So take everything with a grain of salt. No matter how good it looks, just 1 second, be like, that could have been fake. And the same thing when it comes to some of these hacks. That's why, as I had mentioned, the stuff I like to share, stuff is, you can go do this at any time and it will work. I am happy to share that stuff because I want to have that validity. I want people to look at me like, hey, he ain't going to send you off. And when things change, like CSR, when United changed their program last year on the blue card, which now made me want to go get the purple card, which I'll probably do a video about soon, whenever I do that. And I've actually said my United Explorer card is a card I will never cancel. Now they make a purple card that fits better for me. Blue card's still great, don't get me twisted, but the purple card's better for me. But you can still do a couple of those hacks. Before it was, as long as you had the card, you got 2 free check bags. And now you have to book the flight with said card or pay the taxes on a award flight to get your bag checked for free. That is something that has changed. But I've gone back and said, you don't even have to use the card. And you can get your bags checked for free. Just show them the United card. Yeah. They probably saw that video. I'm just being humble here. They probably saw that video and were like, yeah, we got to nerf this. They nerfed it. I'm not the only one that said it, but they nerfed it. I think I was the first one that said it, but they nerfed it. It's nerfed. So take everything that you hear with a grain of salt, and also remember, you are accountable for what you want to listen to and also what you want to follow up on.
Yeah. So thanks, RP. It's fun finding them. It can be fun finding them for sure. Hacks, that is, but you do have to take into account that depending on where it falls, there may be issues associated with it. And the most we can do as creators is do our own assessment of where that falls for us, like where we're comfortable putting it. If we're not comfortable putting it out in the public, there's probably a reason for it.
Built 5 Bananas was a hack at one time. Look at where we're at.
Yeah, it destroyed the company's reputation.
Just calling it what it is. It used to be a hack.
Yeah.
Pay your rent, buy 4 bananas.
Anyway, we're not going that deep down the hole because
nope,
we got stuff going on there. So thanks, RP, for that. Let's move over to the news roundup and topics. The only real other piece of news besides the big one from last week, which is the disaster of a 4-letter company, it leaked from Bank of America and Flying Blue that the Flying Blue credit card that's issued by Bank of America is switching from a MasterCard to a Visa. It's going to be adding 3x on dining. It's a 1.5 catch-all for Flying Blue points and 3x on Flying Blue Airlines as well as SkyTeam partners. So you got 3x there, 3x on dining, 1.5 on everything else. The annual fee is staying the same at $89, and you'll get 5,000 points for spending $50 on the card at any point during the year. The new XP stuff that I mentioned in the questions portion, which is you'll get 80 XP for putting $15,000 through the card. You'll get an additional 60 XP for putting $25,000 through the card. And every year they give you 20 XP to start your status journey. So you can get up to 160 XP per year, depending on how much money you put through the Flying Blue card. And yeah, the welcome offer, as I said, that's going to be launching on the 21st is 70,000 points and 100 XP. I think it's on 4,000 spend in the first 3 months. I don't have it. I'm doing that off the top of my head, so that might be wrong. But Flying Blue card, refreshed and better. There we go. Any other news you guys want to get into before we jump into topics? Perfect. With that, thank you everyone for watching today. Check out stackyourpoints.com to join our membership, to join our Discord, to subscribe to all of our channels, RJ's channel, Lonnie's channel, my channel. Lonnie and I also have channel memberships associated with our channels if you so choose to extend there. We greatly appreciate it. But if you want to be a member of Stack Your Points, stackyourpoints.com is the best way to start your path to doing that. We do have a number of new Diamond members. We do like to shout out our Diamond and new members. We have 3 new Silver members. Tyler's Credit Card Tips. Check out his channel. Joe FTPA, Charvizio. Diamond members are Rupert Pond, Rygrex Hunter, Mitch528, Keith, who was watching the stream earlier tonight, Double Animal Fries, and Jason YT46. We greatly appreciate your continued patronage. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. We will see you Thursday for the live and next week as always. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys soon.